Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, the topic that I'm about to talk today is something that applies to each and every one of us. So, which is the importance of developing a relationship with the Quran. So many of us might be reading Quran, and many of us at least read it once in your lifetime, or some of you might have been developing a habit of reading it every single day or whatsoever. But again, it's the reason I talk about this topic is not to talk about recitation of the Quran or reading of the Quran. It's developing a close relationship with the Quran. Now, what do I mean by a relationship? So imagine you have a friend that you have a close relationship with. So what do? When you have a problem, you go to that friend. When you have something good to share, you go to that friend. When you are down, you go meet that friend. When you get free, you spend time with a friend. So that is how you develop that bonding and relationship with a friend, isn't it? Similarly, when it comes to Quran, how many of us have the deep relationship with the Quran that whenever we feel down, we're not good, we go back to the Quran, or we feel happy, we go back to the Book of Allah, we feel sad, again we go back. Do we do that? These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. Now let's just get into the topic itself. Quran is the light to the world. We all know this thing. Quran is the Noor, Quran is the light to the world. But how do we grasp or take that light and let it lighten our inner self? So before we do that, first of all, why Allah has sent the Quran? The purpose Allah has sent the Quran, first to know, is very, very important. So the reason many of us don't approach the Quran, I would say, is not because you don't know what to do. You don't know why are you doing it. You don't know the real purpose you're doing it. So many of us pray, many of us read Quran, many of us go to masjid, many of us do a lot of things in our life, many of us wear hijab. But are each of us know why are we doing it completely? Why the reason has Allah has asked us to do so? Now, a very profound thing about Islam and Quran and Allah SWT is that Allah always asks us to do certain things and He tells the why also. It's just that we have to seek more to find the why. That is it. So again, Quran has been sent down as a means of guidance for mankind to lead a better life. And this is not something that I made up on my own. This is something Allah has already said in the Quran itself. So my question is, it's a guidance. Guidance means you're supposed to get guidance from it. You're supposed to be guided from it. How are you supposed to be guided if you don't understand the content of the Quran? Does it make sense? You're supposed to get guidance only if you understand the content of it. Let me give you a scenario. Imagine you have a Waze or GPS. The purpose of the Waze or GPS is supposed to guide you to the right path and make you to reach your destination. If you keep it your Waze in a foreign language or a language that you don't understand, would you be able to understand the context? If you don't understand the context, whether it's showing left or right or which location it's heading towards, you don't know, then would you be able to find your way? You will be lost ultimately. And similarly, that's the point I'm trying to make here. If you don't understand the Quran, obviously Arab is not our mother tongue for most of us, and it's not some language that we usually speak and understand. So if we don't understand the context of what Allah is about to say, the content, how are we supposed to follow its guidance, isn't it? Before I tell you how do we develop that relationship with the Quran, I want you to visualize this imagery. This point is also what Allah talks about Quran in the Quran itself. Imagine the rainwater, how it produces and how it cultivates a different type of plant, different taste of plant and fruits. Similarly, the way Quran, again, the rainwater is the same, but the crops that it produces, the fruit it produces, it has different taste, it has different function. Now we are learning that some of the fruits have different medical benefits obviously, right? So similarly, the way Quran affects each of us is different. Not every one of us has to be a speaker. The same Quran, it inspires all of us, but the good that it produces, it diverse. Now all of us might be indulged in different professions. Some of us might be doctor, engineer, teacher, student, mother, child, a housewife. We have a variety of roles to play. But it will only produce good if it is inspired by the Book of Allah. Now this point I have to repeat because it's very important. The roles that we play are diverse in this world, but all those roles will only and only produce good if it is inspired by the Quran, which is the Book of Allah. Now again, speaking of the water, imagine the water is contaminated, it is not purified. So what happens to the vegetation that it produces? It will also be contaminated. It's going to rot and it's not going to produce the healthy vegetation. So if we don't choose to purify our heart, how do we purify it? Through the Book of Allah. It is in one way or another is going to get contaminated too. And obviously the actions that we produce will be contaminated also, because actions are a direct results of our faith. Now the plants that it grew, as in from the water, the plants that grew, it does not only nourish their own selves, but they also nourish what surrounds them. What do I mean by this is that the plants that is being produced by the water, it becomes the food for the animals, and eventually plants, we all know that this is the fundamental plants are the fundamental producers and the basic needs of the ecosystem to sustain. So again, people who are inspired by the Quran not only benefit their own selves but also those around them. So another important thing that I want to highlight here is that our Prophet ﷺ, like the other kings before, like those great people lived before, he did not left for us any big monuments, any buildings. He didn't leave for us political stability, financial stability. You can see like people who died. Pharaoh, he left pyramid, and Shah Jahan, he left Taj Mahal, and a lot of great people, they developed certain monuments and then they are no more in this world. But the greatest accomplishment of the Prophet ﷺ is not even he left for us huge mosques, huge masjids. No, that's not his accomplishment. His greatest accomplishment is the people he produced. How did he produce those kind of strong mentality people? Is through the Book of Allah, through the words of Allah. That is the way the Quran affected them. That is how the Quran affected them strongly. Now, why do I say that it affected them strongly? You see, those times were the toughest times of Islam. They were willing to sacrifice their life, their family, their children, their money, their status, and everything that meant everything to them. They left all of it behind and make hijrah and did a lot of things in the path of Allah for the sake of Allah. Now think of us for a moment. Here we are, still struggling to wake up for Fajr. We're not even willing to give up our dressing style because we want to keep up with the fashion but not keep up with the Quran. We're not willing to let go of our anger, our injustice towards other people, our gossiping, all those minor sins and also major sins. We still are ignorant about the words of Allah. So in this sense, we can know how far you have actually come from the Book of Allah SWT. Now we have known the importance of having a strong connection or a relationship with the Book of Allah. So what are we supposed to do? Is to turn back to the word of Allah. Make the Quran a center of your attention in every sense. And it is not in one day task. You have to remember, it's not that I'm going to finish this Quran in this month of Ramadan. I'm not going to touch it for the entire year until the next Ramadan comes. It's not like that. It's about learning it. It's about understanding it. And it is a lifelong journey. The wisdom that it contains, even you spend your lifelong, also you're not able to achieve full of it. This is something like you eat every day. You replenish your body every day because it loses its energy, it loses its fuel. Similarly, you have to replenish your soul too. And what is the food for your soul? It is the words of Allah, obviously. There can be no better food for your soul rather than the words of Allah itself. So before I end this talk, I would like to finish it with the very, very beautiful hadith that I've heard a few days ago. So how it is connected with the judgment, how the Quran is connected with the judgment. There was this hadith when Rasulullah SAW, he was sitting among his companions, his friends. He told them something. One of the signs of judgment day is that the knowledge will disappear. Now, one of the Sahabi, he asked, how is that possible, Rasulullah? Ya Rasulullah, we recite the Quran every day and we make our kids to recite it, and we teach their kids, gonna teach their kids, and it's gonna go for generations and generations. It's not gonna end as far as we know. So how do you say that the knowledge disappears? Now, the very, very profound thing about this hadith is that these people, when Rasulullah said knowledge, the Sahabi didn't think of like, oh my God, soon there will be no more professionals coming up. There won't be nobody who knows how to write or read. There won't be a teacher. There won't be a poet. There won't be an astronomer. Those people won't come again, is it? He didn't say that. He said, we are learning the Quran. So their mind has been molded. Rasulullah has already molded their mind in such a way that for those people with Rasulullah and Rasulullah himself, knowledge is equals to Quran. Quran is equals to knowledge. That is the fundamental knowledge of Islam and also the world is the Quran. So these are the way their mind has been molded. Now our problem comes is that we are too busy discussing other things, forgetting the ultimate and important thing which Allah has already sent down for us. We're too busy discussing what book has to say about this, what this book has to say about this, rather than we are like I would say like too far from the book of Allah SWT. So inshallah, I pray to Allah SWT make all of us to get back to the Quran and to understand and to apply the Quran in our daily life so that we can be guided from it. So remember, it's not about how much you get, it's about how good you try. Allah always look at effort and not the result. So if you take one step towards Allah and His book, He's going to run towards you. And we all know that, inshallah. And I pray that may Allah make us among those people who are on the day of judgment. It's the book of Allah is gonna witness for us and it not witness against us.